This is very, very exciting. We are continuing on our journey through Tanya, and for the sake of the newcomers that have just arrived, so many of you were here for Geras Tshuva that we did in Elul, but if you weren't, and you're starting something basically fresh, so we're starting in the middle of Likutei Emorim, which is Sefer Shel Beinanim. Let me just give you a small introduction for those of you that have never learned this before. This is the Baal Tanya Sefer. The Heilige Baal Tanya is an unbelievable tzaddik who wrote a sefer called the Sefer Shel Beinanim, which is basically for the Beinani people, for the regular intermediate people, not the tzaddikim, not the rishonim, but the regular people. And the idea of the sefer really is the idea of how to sort of connect to yourself, to understand yourself, to connect to yourself. It's a very, very deep sefer. There's a lot of Kabbalistic ideas that he discusses, some of which we have already explained. Maybe we'll try to re-explain some of them also now. But the basic idea is as follows. He starts off the entire sefer talking about the two neshamas. The two neshamas that every yid has is a nefesh elokis, which is the neshama that comes from the Kisar Kavod. It's a piece of Hashem Kaviyachol. And then he also talks about nefesh Bahamas, which is the animalistic neshama that we have, that drives us to do all the physical things that give us pleasure, that give us, all the physicalities that we have in this physical world. Our job, the Baal Tanya has told us numerous times, is not to become a tzaddik. It's just simply not in our vocabulary. It's simply not our she'ifa. It's not our goal. It's not why we were sent down to this world. We're not here to become a tzaddik. It's just not what our neshama is sent down to do. That's not our mission in life. Our mission is trying to become a Beinani. We try to make sure we always make the right decision when we have two things in front of us. And that's very much what the Sefer discusses. We're jumping right in. We're in the middle of Perek Lamed Ches. If you are interested in starting from the beginning, you can look up the show online. You can go to Turning Time, you can go to YouTube, and you can go to Spotify, and you can find Perek Aleph from what we did in the Akdama, and you can go from there and you'll catch us up back to Perek Lamed Ches. If you're interested, it's a great thing to do. Maybe night seder. You can listen to the beginning of Tanya Shurim from the beginning. This way you'll understand maybe perhaps a bit more, but it's not a stira. Just because you weren't here from the beginning doesn't mean you don't understand now. With that Hagdama, with that introduction in mind, let us begin, Rabbi Say, Perek Lamed Ches. I do suggest that you get your own Tanya. It's much, much better where you can focus when you read inside. Al Kapanim. We are learning about the Pu'ulas HaMitzvahs, the specific mitzvahs that are connected to dibur, to speech. We were talking about Torah, we were talking about Tefillah, which are mitzvahs that are negayed to speech, and that allows the neshama to reach an even higher place and really actually feeds the soul, which is masakin the guf as well. Now, so far what we learned is that most of us simply struggle to overcome the evil. We have so much, machshavas inside us to do the wrong thing, to look at the wrong thing, to say the wrong thing, to do the wrong thing, whatever it may be. We simply struggle to overcome that evil. And therefore, we try to accomplish the most important task, which is the purpose of all creation, which is to bring down the divine revelation of the animal to the animal soul that's inside me. How do we do that? Practically with Torah and with mitzvahs, which is again with our mouth, with speech. We use our mouths in the correct way with Torah and Tefillah. We bring down the divine light into our nefesh bahamis, the animalistic soul, the animal soul within us, which basically illuminates in a tremendously illuminating way, which is of course the real tachlis of the world. And the problem is people think that learning Torah and understanding Torah is not so practical. Let's try to understand what that means. V'hinei, Perek Lamed Ches. V'hinei, im kol hanal. In everything we said until now, he doesn't mean from Perek Aleph, it means from Perek Hey to Perek Lamed Zayin. Yuvan Heitev, now we can understand Psak HaHalacha HaRucha B'Talmud HaPoskim. Okay, there is a Gemara. The Gemara in Brachas Daf Chof Amud Beis discusses the shaila of if I think of something, is it like I said it? So for example, if I need to bench, so I can't be bothered to say the words, I'm just going to think about benching in my head. Does it work? Forget about not being bothered to bench. It's another whole story. But I'm talking about, I haven't got the koyach for it, Enli koyach, as they say in this country. Enli koyach. I don't have the strength for it. So I'll just think about it. Good or not good? Gemara discusses the shaila. Okay? Now the Gemara Paskins, as the Tanya over here continues, the hearer love kedibur domi. Hero thinking thoughts is not kedibur. It's not like speech. It doesn't work the same way. If a person reads Kriya Shema, in his heart, it's Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, with all the kavanas in his heart, in his brain, in his machshavas. You're not Yaitza. You could scream it in your heart and your brain as much as you want. You're just not Yaitza Kriya Shema. You have to read it all over again. That's halacha l'maisa in the Shulchan Aruch, by the way. Shulchan Aruch brings in Orach Chaim Sim Samach Beis, and you have to read it again. Machshava doesn't work. That's how we paskin. Machshava is not kedibur. Now, the Chaim and Birchas HaMazon, that's what we discussed a moment ago. Birchas HaMazon, the same thing. Benching, also Daraisa, or Bishar Brachos D'Rabbanan over Tefillah. So we see from here clearly that thinking something by itself without the speech is not really a form of avodah. By the way, interesting, because the Gemara says in the beginning of Masechtas Tainis, right, which is the makor for davening, what's considered to the avodah of your heart, zu tefillah. So it's interesting, it is called the Bazuk Tanya, based on the Gemara in Brochas Daf Ches, that since at the end of the day, when a person is mahara, when he thinks of something, it's not Gedibu Domi, Mimela, it's not going to be a real avodah. Ve'im hoitzi b'svosov, and if it comes out of your mouth, v'loi kivin liboy, let's say you said Kriya Shema without having any kavanah. I don't think about it. I just said Kriya Shema. No kavanah, no intention, no deep understanding, no whatever. Yotzi Deichavosa b'di'eved. You get a b'di'eved place in the Nevabo. It's not lachatchila, but it works. You're Yotza, because you said the words of Kriya Shema. Okay? Vein Zor Laksa, you don't have to go back. Levan Mepozuk Mishnah of Kriya Shema, except for the first pasuk of Kriya Shema, or Bacha V'Shonish Tefillah Shmanachsa. If you don't have Kavanah, by the way, by Mogen Avon, we've got big problems. Very important, the first Bacha V'Shmoneh to have Kavanah. If not, go back and daven again. Kriya Shema, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, go back again if you didn't have Kavanah. But generally speaking, if you daven and you don't have kavanah, if the words come out of your mouth, bidi eved, you are indeed yaitza. Okay? So it comes out lemaisa that yes, words without kavanah are not great, but they work. Okay, fine. Ukedi isa b'reish peg based on brachos, you give them on the base. Ad kam mitzvahs kavanah, mikam ve'elech mitzvahs kriya v'cholei. So the question over here is not why you need machshava and dibur, because the Rebbeinu Shalom said you need machshava and dibur. Rather, the question over here is, why is it if someone speaks without kavanah, at the end of the day it works, but the eved, it works, but kavanah without dibur doesn't work at all? You hear the question? That's the question that the Tanya wants to ask. You with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why is it that when I say the words in my mouth, but I don't have kavanah, no intention, l'maisam yaitze b'di'eved, it works. But if I have all the kavanah in the world, but it didn't come out of my mouth, I'm not yaitze b'chlal. Why is it that way? That's the Tanya's kasha. V'hainu, yeah? Mishum, sha'aneshama einet tzricha tika na'alzva mitzvahs rak lehamshach or l'taka nefesh ha'chiyunus v'aguf. At the end of the day, the neshama doesn't need a tikkun for itself when it does mitzvahs. Rather, it needs to bring down the aura, the illumination, the light, into the nefesh habahamis. Al yedei when you say the words of Torah, when you say the words of Tefillah, you're not just saying words. You're bringing illumination into the world, and that illumination is going inside your body into the Nefesh HaBahamis, which causes you to do all the things that you know you shouldn't be doing. And by bringing that illumination into it, you're going to be able to help yourself not do all those things. So it actually is a tikkun for your guf. It helps you. You have to say the words. It's the words that help. But mitzvahs maisish and nefesh oisu b'sha'aver guf. It's the same thing also as well when you have a mitzvahs maisish, right? When you do tzedakah, for example, you need to do the action. Imagine I thought, I would love to give $1,000 to tzedakah. That's very nice, but if you didn't do the action, it's not going to work. So mimela, that's answering the kasha why machshava by itself doesn't work. Because machshava is great, but you didn't do anything. You didn't cause anything. Nothing happened. You need the oisius. You need the words to come out of my mouth. Even though that's the truth, Chazal tell us, this is brought down, brings the Shacheshvan and Nefesh, that when a person davens or says any bracha, right, you're about to eat lunch, you're at dinner, right? So whatever's for dinner, you're going to make, let's say, a shahakal, a mazonis, hadom, or whatever it's going to be. So you made the bracha. I don't think about it. No any kavanah. What's Chazal telling us? It's like a body without an neshama inside it. That doesn't mean that it's a body that's dead, that it's lifeless. No. It means that the body's minimal energy is there as opposed to the abundance of life that's normally found in the neshama. So yeah, you're yoitza, but yevet, not on a chatchel way. Well, I hope the olim are with me. Told you it's a bit of a deep sefer.
It's just the neshama white every year. He goes just the white.
Because I need the physical to able to bring down the light. Just like when I do the machshava for tzedakah, I can think about giving tzedakah. It's very nice. I had a thought to give tzedakah, but l'maisa didn't do anything. Saving over here, I thought about the kavanah. And I did it in my head of Shema Yisrael Hashem Nekim Hashem Echad. But until I made it Lemaisa, it doesn't bring down the light. It's the Lemaisa that brings down the light. Perish. Ki kemoy shekol abrim sheba'olam hazeh sheyesh lem guf neshama shehem nefesh kol chai b'ruach b'aseh ish neshamas kol asher ruach chai ba'apov mikol ba'alei chayim. Just like we have a human form, the Rebbeinu Shalom blew within us the neshama. V'Hashem machayes kol ha'ma'avosom. We have to stop. We're going to finish early. I want to do more, but we had an Akdama, so we'll finish early. At the end of the day, everything, even a rock, go to a stone. A stone also has some kind of divine energy inside it. Otherwise, if it did not have the divine energy, the stone would turn into nothing. But the only thing that's keeping the stone a stone in its physical form is that it has the divine energy. So everything has divine energy in it. So what we said before, that tefillah without kavana is like a body without a neshama, doesn't mean the mitzvah is dead and you're not yotzah. It just means it's a very low energy and it's a very low level, just like a rock has energy to it, but it's like nothing compared to a human being. So too, the mitzvah that you did has a low energy, so you're yotzeh b'diavad. Okay? That's what it's a guf below neshama. So Mamela, what he's telling you, and again, we have to talk a lot about this, and by the way, as another form of Hagdama, this Sefer Tanya is, of course, one of the founders, the Baal Tanya was the founder of Chabad. Right? Chabad, of course, stands for Chochma Bina V'das. Chochma Bina V'das is in your head, the three parts of the brain, and then after that you got Chesed, Gvura, everything else. It all starts in your head. The Tanya is very, very demanding on machshava. Think about what you're doing, and that's what he's telling us over here. When you make a bracha, when you say krishma, when you bench, whatever you do, if you don't put thought into it, it's like a body without a neshama. It's alive, but a very low level, because the neshama drives so much more energy in it, and you're missing that energy. So therefore, that's what he wants you to do. So we have a lot more to do. It does get a bit deeper, a bit more complicated. Join us tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, for a continual Perek Lamed Ches. Shkoyach.